Hey, listen to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and MP. As always, I'm Grady, and live on Skype we got Josh.
Hey,
SmackDown. We got the season premiere, the debut on USA, and it was a stacked show kicking off with a WWE Championship match in a steel cage. Cody Rhodes solo Sikoa, and it really developed that bloodline storyline for our next steps that we're going to be taking.
yeah. Um, by the way, Cody and Solo knocked it out of the park. It was a fantastic cage match. Um, Honestly, I'm starting to think that we might not get the Bloodline Civil War this year. Um, I'm thinking we might uh, be building it further, maybe for next year, because there is a lot of stuff that we have to cover if we get to there, and I don't know if we have the time to do it between now and Survivor Series.
Yeah, Survivor
But
Series does just creep closer and closer because we're just a couple months away now, right?
yeah, we're yeah, 'cause we're about 9, maybe 10 weeks away.
And we got to get through, Jimmy. We got to get through Jay. Sammy's dealing with Gunther. Jay's dealing with Braun. Jimmy's still on the shelf. There's a lot of story beats, and as you said, 9 weeks, not a lot of time to do them. But I guess the interesting part coming out of this is we seem to still be telling a story between Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns, where Cody's offering to help Roman, but they're still shifty at each other. They're not fully uh, trusting. Um, and arguably Roman Reigns is the bigger thing, even though Cody did capture the title. Um, and there's so many little bits of story there that I don't know which one they're going to latch onto and tell.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there was even the little shot that Cody took at Roman saying, "This isn't your WWE anymore. Hasn't been since WrestleMania." Before the contract signing.
Mm.
Um, yeah, it should be an interesting. It is. It's interesting that the WWE Championship isn't being defended again um, at the pay-per-view, which again was a major complaint that people had about Roman being champion. Just just throwing that out there. Um, but yeah, it should be fun. It'll be interesting seeing who wins the match. So I think that has a lot to play on how things prefer out here. Although we do have one pay-per-view in between Bad Blood and Survivor Series, so there's possibility that maybe they do Roman Cody 3 at that event, which shall not be named.
Yeah, it does. I I get the sort of vibes here, right? Are that they might not be setting up Bloodline versus Bloodline, and that the setup may more be, as you've rightly pointed out, Rhodes Reigns 3. I don't know if they want to wait Survivor Series, they want to wait Rumble, they want to wait WrestleMania. If there's anything that we know about sort of storylines involving Cody, storylines involving the Bloodline, they are slow burns. They do tell the story week to week. It's not something that we're going to set up and pay off within a month. And so it could potentially drag itself out through, further and further. We got to be asking, what part does Sikoa and his new bloodline play in all of this? What part does the members of the OG bloodline that haven't jumped up to Reigns' side play in it? What part does The Rock play in it? There's a lot of factors and a lot of unknowns and a lot of different cool ways that the story can sort of go. So much like you, I'm really interested in that tag match, seeing who walks out and why. I think is the other important one. This could be a chance where you can have Sikoa sort of pin Roman, potentially because of some stuff. We got numbers game, obviously, but we don't know what Cody's going to do. And Jacob can just destroy anybody, and maybe that plants the seeds for your next thing. But now we've seen Sikoa lose 2 championship matches against Cody. I don't know if they're going to pull a third on that one there. We'll have to see all the dominoes are there. I don't know what pattern they're placed out in yet, but they're gonna fall. Well, that was a mouthful. We also got quite a lot of Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, still tagging each other. There was a fake out in terms of who was going to be Kevin Owens' partner, but we do still have some RK Owens. I don't know the official name. Content heading our way.
Yeah, it was kind of cute. It does remind me a bit of the whole James Ellsworth stuff from when SmackDown debuted on Raw or on Fox. It'd be interesting to see if it is a one-off with Ricky, or if he's going to come back or something. But yeah, I mean, we kind of expected. I mean, it's kind of a holding pattern for both Kevin Owens and Randy Orton at this point, because neither of Kevin just lost to Cody, and Randy is obviously not yet facing off against Cody. So it's fine. The only thing I hope for is that out of all this, at the end of it, Austin Theory finally does snap and turns face on Waller.
Yeah, I got two things out of that one. The Randy Orton Kevin Owens stuff. I just try to figure out what the end game is in this SmackDown Tag Team division. Obviously, with the Bloodline holding the tag titles, and you got Montez and Ford making the go at them right now. You have them going down to NXT, beating up Montez and Ford as well as Axiom and Frazier. A little bit of cross-pollination going on. Is it Orton Owens versus the Bloodline and sort of keeping them in that Bloodline storyline because they are your top tier, upper mid-card guys, main event guys who are not being used right now? Or, as you say, is it just a holding pattern and we're not actually going to see any sort of championship opportunities coming out for those two? We'll have to see.
Yeah, or it could just be Kevin Owens likes to punch A-Town down under in the face, and he's getting to do it some more.
Well, talking about punching A-Town down under in the face, we're going to actually be seeing them hop over to NXT as they have gotten themselves a tag team championship match against Axiom and Nathan Frazier when NXT heads to St. Louis October 10. I say very hesitantly.
Yeah, Chicago's October 3rd, so St. Louis would be the 10th.
I remember the dates. St. Louis, where Randy Orton also is. So, hey, we'll have to see.
Where Randy Orton will be wrestling Javante Evans.
It's true. He's got himself a match, but who doesn't love punching A-Town down under? But if you want to see an explosion, you want to see a turn, potentially when they're trying to hype up the Chicago and the St. Louis show, maybe that's the place to do the storyline. Pollinate it over to NXT, pull it there, or plant the seeds a little bit heavier over there. Always a shot of what you can do. And speaking of NXT, it is all setting up for those big shows coming up. Obviously, the Chicago show and the St. Louis show. We know it was going to be Ethan Page, Trick Williams because of the number one contenders match, and now we got ourselves CM Punk's role in the Chicago show, and he's going to be that guest referee for that matchup.
Yeah, we can't afford him to get injured before the big match with in the sale, so it makes sense not to have him wrestle with one of the younger people who, for better or worse, may not be as sharp as you need to be to work with somebody as brittle as CM Punk has been.
Yeah, it is true. Punk has been pretty injury prone for the last, since he returned to wrestling. And only sort of lasted a few months before popping off with another one. So, yeah, wrap that man in bubble wrap before his cell match.
Yeah. But yeah, it's going to be... It's kind of what I expected. I've expected like him either to do like a referee spot like he is, or special guest host or something, and hype up the crowd for NXT. um, against in front of the live audience. That's not the performance center, and I think that's the biggest thing is for these two shows to see how the wrestlers respond to a much larger crowd.
Mm.
Because let's face it, we love the atmosphere of the performance center. It's fantastic, but you're only performing in front of like 500 to 1,000 people. They're
Yeah,
going to be wrestling in front of maybe 10,000 people.
it is basically a step up, right? And not only is it a larger crowd, it is a different crowd. When you can do something in front of a crowd, the same crowd over and over and over, it might be working. We see it multiple times when people head up to the main roster. Something just doesn't click necessarily, and so it'll be cool to see who can adapt, who can put on a good show in front of a crowd that they're not necessarily used to, which I'm sure they get a little bit doing shows here and there, but this is the biggest light some of these ones in NXT are going to have shone on them.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is that these two shows that we know of are as far as we know of are the only ones that are going to be in front of like these kinds of crowds at this time. But they're being held in pretty big wrestling cities. You have Chicago, which is obviously a massive city for wrestling. There's a reason why the other company does a certain show there every year. It's because of just how big that market is. St. Louis is also a huge market and has a huge amount of history in it as well. So yeah, so it'll be fun to see how everything shakes out after those 2 weeks. See if you have 10,000 people chanting "Whoop that Trick" when Trick Williams comes out. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it all shakes out in October. But for now, we're going to go into our theme of the week. Obviously, with SmackDown heading to USA, they get themselves a brand new theme for the show. And that means it is our pleasure on Wrestling Roundup to play for you Megan Thee Stallion. And you're back to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and MPR. I'm Grady, he's Josh. Looking over to a lot of feuds getting brutal, if I just want to run it down, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Pete Dunne, Sheamus, Braun Breaker, Jey Uso. The New Day are starting to explode. Bronson Reed, Braun Strowman's getting physical. Sami Zayn's getting beat down. Judgment Day is standing tall over Priest and Rhea. There's a lot of brutal and hard-hitting feuds happening on Raw right now.
Yeah. The promos and stuff that Braun and Jay did, I think sold me on that match more than any other match on the card for that's happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that includes CM Punk, Drew McIntyre.
Damn.
Because I want to see these two just absolutely tear the absolute house down, which we will get to see next week on Raw. And I don't know, honestly, I don't know who's going to win. I'd like to see Braun with a long reign, but I also like to see Jay get a singles run of some type, because he's just is so over. But it will be fun to watch that work out. It may end up being like there's just no winner. Maybe they'll knock each other out with a double spear and not be able to answer a 10 count, and then have a special stipulation at Bad Blood or something. I don't know. But I'm down for that match.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, as you say. Jey Uso needs something, I think. We've been talking about how he's always sort of failed at that last hurdle when it comes to being main event Jey Uso. And an Intercontinental title reign would be that. But it just happens to be against one of the fastest rising young stars right now in Braun Breaker. I'm sure it won't hurt the guy if he does end up losing the title, and he can move on to feuds that don't involve the championship potentially. But I don't know. It's sort of a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of situation. Unless, as you say, we do drag the feud out and we do do a match here, a match there. Maybe we do one at Bad Blood. Maybe we do one in October. I don't know if we can quite make it to Survivor Series. Also depends what we're doing with the Bloodline. But there's no reason these two can't cut promos and pull the feud out that long. I'm excited to see if the Between the Bells content is as good as their promos. But when it's these two guys, there's no reason it shouldn't be.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess we'll move on now to the New Day.
Yeah, you just want to rub it in my face that they're going to do the New Day Explode storyline.
I mean, it makes sense. Xavier is everything he said in that promo is 100% correct. Why is it now they're not good enough when in the past they have been? Why do they need help? Why is Kofi going behind his back and getting the help of the LWO, getting the help of an Odysseus Jones before he got released?
Yeah, I
Why
think
is he?
Xavier
Why
made
is he
his stance super
thinking?
clear.
Yeah, why is Kingston thinking that they're not good enough because they don't have Big E? I mean, it everything makes sense. It makes sense for Xavier Woods to get pissed off, and that's where he was. It won't take much more for Woods to snap entirely. He is definitely the rubber band is stretched as far as it will go, and it's only a matter of time until it does break.
I think we've pointed out the pieces to this puzzle many times before. Kofi Kingston had a championship reign, a world championship reign. Big E's had a world championship reign. Xavier Woods got his King of the Ring win, but it didn't really amount to much in the sort of singles sphere. And everybody in the New Day has sort of supported everybody else as they've gone off and done their singles ventures. Big E's obviously injured, either recovering or has no intentions to return to in-ring. Either is fine and entirely his choice. And then you come into this match for the World Tag Team titles, and he's like, no, I don't want anybody here. We can do this. We can win this match. Kofi goes off. He gets the LWO. They come in, and Woods, had McDonough dead to rights. He had the win. 1, 2, 3 while the ref's not looking. And then it was because of that distraction, because of that decision that Kofi made, that they're not currently World Tag Team Champions. And it does seem like Kofi has lost faith in the group, I guess duo now. And Xavier Woods thinks that he is better than the position he's in right now. And personally, I think I saw it floating around, some people suggesting it, that, just as the two are about to argue and to come to swings, that's when you bring out Big E, but then you still have Xavier go ahead with the heel turn, and you have him, low blow Big E or something, and still go full blown heel if you're, committing to this, and you want Xavier Woods to be booed. Taking out such a lovable figure like Big E in the least physical way possible would be one way to do it. But the explosion is imminent, and it's not lasting the year. I'd be shocked if it lasts a month from now. Well, that was me talking for a long time. So you talk about Strowman and Bronson Reed.
Speaking of Big E, big meaty men slapping meat.
We're slapping like the audience members' meat against each other's meat. It got weird.
Yeah, it definitely got weird. Yeah, Bronson grabbed a planted fan in a very appropriately wearing Yeet shirt and threw him and yeeted him right at Braun Strowman as he was doing his famous round the ring run. There was so much they did. They broke the ring ropes. They broke the barricade. They threw a fan. I think this is going to end up being like one of those matches that they're going to have at the end of the night, because I think they're going to end up doing the ring breaking thing again, because it seems, I don't know, it just seems like that's where we're going. It's like these two can't be contained, and they're just destroying everything, so they might as well destroy the ring while they're at it. Um, yeah, I mean, it's just fun. It and I don't think they've missed on Bronson Reed since he's turned since the whole Seth Rollins stuff. They have done everything right with him, and he's got a guy that's a former world champion, technically universal, but same level, um, in that he's working with, and they're bringing out like the best of their big guy character traits in it, and it's just fun to watch. And so I'm looking forward to whatever stipulation they come up with for these two, because the actual match cannot be a standard one-on-one, because then you get what you got here. It won't end. They'll just keep fighting. So I don't know what the stipulation is going to be, but it's going to be fun to watch no matter what it is.
Yeah, I could definitely see, like a Falls Count Anywhere or a Last Man Standing. But you're right. I don't think the stipulation matters too much because these two are gonna just bring it. And you think about Bronson Reed, 3 months ago before he did the Seth stuff, sort of floundering, not doing a whole lot, and then all it took was like 10 tsunamis, and this guy is over as Rover. Same with Braun Strowman. We hadn't been doing a whole lot with him prior to this feud, but he's always in a position with his size, with his character, with his resume, that you can heat him back up pretty quick. And ultimately, I think if Bronson Reed goes over here in the feud, and looks like even bigger of a star, we are looking at, main event level guy coming out of this because of the work he's been putting in, because of the spot he's been in with attacking Seth and other big stars. And then, as you say, being able to take out a former world champion or a world level champion. It's sort of stacking up quite the resume for Bronson in the last couple months as well. So
Yeah, and I do think that after this match, the final match, whatever it is, I think that's when we get Seth back, because because we do need that match to happen. We need Seth versus Bronson. I'm just hoping Seth's enjoyed his time off. He needed it, with the way he carried the company during his world title reign and stuff. And I look forward to that because I think that'll be interesting, because it's always one of those big guy versus small guy. It's a classic storyline. But yeah, I'm just enjoying what Bronson Reed is doing, and I look forward to the next chapter.
yeah, and we got about a minute left here. Talk about the Judgment Day. Damian Priest, Dominic Mysterio had a match, but more importantly, it was all of the storytelling interferences, same bits and pieces that we've seen before. Jey Uso did come out to try and help. Bron Breakker interfering, just continuing to set up that match. And yeah, we've intermingled the Intercontinental Championship, the Women's Championship on Raw, the Damian Priest Finn Balor feud, and all of these bits and pieces. The LWO, the New Day were involved in it as well. So many things being so interwoven, all with the Judgment Day being this sort of central piece that we're weaving around.
Yeah. It was definitely interesting to see just the destruction the Judgment Day put on Priest. But yeah, it was like Uso's trying to win over Mommy, and he comes out to help, and just as he starts to get to the ring, out of nowhere, which is famous for Braun, he hits him with the spear after he got hit by a spear earlier in the night. Yeah, everything as you said, it's your favorite things about these shows, which is for the last 2 years has been pretty much every show, is an overarching, interlining story. Like you have 15 feuds going on, but they all seem to link up in some way. that makes the show so much better, because it's just so many things work together and you don't always notice everything either.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Well, that is all we've got time for. Before I say goodbye to you, though, I forgot to mention it at the top of the show. I had it in my notes to mention. Congratulations on 600 episodes. This is the 600th episode. We didn't do anything special for it, but many, 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 many years now that we've been doing this over Skype, and yeah, it's crazy we saw 600. Yeah. So give yourself a pat on the back, but it is all we've got time for, and it's been great talking to you for the last 600 episodes.
Bye-bye.
You can visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/wrestling R&D Upper, our Twitter page, twitter.com/wrestling R&D Upper, our YouTube page, youtube.com/wrestling RND Up, and we will see you next week.